Hi friend, today's topic is XSLT and XSML, how we can leverage XML data in how we can just leverage the XML data and just producing the HTML file or another XML file based on the XSLT. So let's move ahead. So for demo purpose, I have just created these PPTs. So XSLT, as we can see, is basically a language which is for transforming the data into another format, and that format could be the XML, that could be the text documents or XHTML documents, or like PDF. Or so if you are a person who has developed the core components, so you can just leverage that XSLT technologies to producing that the render data into some other file format like PDF. So what are the benefits? What are the benefits if we go with the XSLT? So the first benefit that I have pointed out here bottom, like it separates the data from the formatting. So this is the best thing is, so if you are using the XSLT for managing the presentation to the client, so you are separating the data and the formatting, and data are in XML. So because of the XML is a standard, and the most of the technologies are using this XML, the data source. So we can leverage the same data for another purpose. So if you are putting your data in a XML file, so make sure you can just use it anywhere else if you want to further on. And the third point is formatting defined by XSL. So it could be like, so you have a one XML file which is basically a master's XML, and you want to create some chunk of XML for some based on your requirement. So you can just producing the multiple XML file based on the one XML file with the help of XSL. And the fourth point that I have mentioned here is like resulting XHTML viewed in the browser. So you can just produce the XHTML file. So I just want to let you just to highlight here is, so HTML and XHTML. So because of the HTML has no any such any force rule which which prevents the developers to so if you are opening the tag, you must have to define the close tag. So there is lots of things are optional. So that's why, so there is no any I will not say like there is no standard, but yeah, there is HTML is a very liberal from my point of view. So XHTML is something like just putting the HTML with the XML standards. The XML standard is like we do the XML is a case sensitive XML. So if you are opening any tags, you must have the close tag. So these kind of standardization, if you want to put it in the HTML, so this is just, you can say like this is just a one extension. So like HTML is inherited from the SGML, right? And so we can say like this, putting the HTML with the XML standard, and when we are creating a HTML with the same set of rules, that is known as basically XHTML. So this is the basically diagram which I have just copied from somewhere else from the site. So like this is how it works, basically using the XML source and using the XML style sheet, and there is a processor which is known as the XSLT processor. The current version is 2.0 basically, that I have mentioned also here. So it's started with the 1.0, and just one point, the World Wide Web Consortium has started to just release 1.1, but they have somehow they just cancel that and just release the 2.0 version. So there is a processor and XHTML other XML output. So there is a processor which basically the processor purpose is to just taking the source file and taking the style sheet file and generating that file in the output format that you have all mentioned there. So So you can just think of like so if there is a processor and so so if you want this feature, then you must have this processor. So by default all the browsers today's support this processor. So every browser has this processor, and in IE, as far as IE concerned, it started from 5.0. So if you are using XML and XSLT in the browser side, which is also known as a client side transformation, and the purpose is to just generating the same the result, the purpose is to generating the rendering the file in the target format. Now the next slide. So as I have mentioned, like we have two types of transformation. The first XSLT, sorry, the first one is client side XSLT, and the second one is the server side XSLT. The purpose here is like client side, if your browser is taking the responsibility to transforming the XML data and taking the XSL data and rendering in the browser itself. So if the processor is a part of the browser, so that's known as a client side XSLT. And if you are taking, you have some component like in the .NET, in the Java itself, we have lots of component or the third party that provides you to just push the XML file and XSLT file, and that will give you the result. Okay, so if that kind of thing that you are taking on the server side, that is known as server side XSLT. So let's go with the point by point, like XHTML page references XSL and XML documents. It means the browser transformation done by the browser. Okay, that's clearly said in the second point. And the XSL can be cached and reused because of the browser, right? Only XML data is downloaded with each request, right? Okay, so XML data is faster to download than XHTML page, right? And the server side, what are the benefits? Transformation happens on the server, so browser only. Every access the resulting the transformation happens on the server, so browser only ever access the resulting HTML, right? So we are just because of the client side, sometimes there is a lot of discussion in the forum, right? So if you are using the client side transformation, so it's based on the browser. That's why sometimes if you have heavy XML files, it's taking time to rendering that style sheet. So the performance wise, it is persons basically ignored, because you are downloading the XML data in every request. So people are go with the server side because you are just taking the data. Now your job is to just cache it or just push it in one go, and just your browser will just render the data. So browser will take only the HTML file, and the purpose is to just render the HTML files like a normal HTML file. So there is any parallel activities behind with your page to downloading the XML and parsing that XML with the XSLT. So you are doing on the server side, you are just pushing the HTML data on the browser, and the browser job is to just show that HTML data in the browser. Results are consistent, yes, definitely, because of you are generating that HTML file in the server side. XSLT can be used to present data in the number of file formats. Definitely, that I have said in the first slide. Okay, so for the example, I have to show you two transformation. The first one is for the client XSLT, and the second one is the server side XSLT. So for the both, I have created one XML file, mynida.xml. This is the data, and under this data I have a root node which is basically employees, and under the employees I have just created a company name, and this is basically the child node under the employees. Under the employees, again I have created the address child, that is the element. Okay, and for the example also I have created one attribute so that I can show you the every aspect of transformation. Okay, the most important thing for the client transformation, as you can see here, like in the XML itself I have just attached the style sheet, the sample.xslt. so this is the XML and this is the XSLT file. So what is the XSLT file? So as of now I do not have any XSLT file, So let me just create a one XSLT file here, and new item, and the XSLT file, just a minute, sorry, XSLT file. So the sample file, the sample XSLT, and I'm just removing here, and in the next lesson, I will describe all these, what are these things and what are the implications of these things. But this video I'll just show you the practical how we can going to just transform the XML data in the target format, in the HTML format. Okay, so definitely the output which we want is not in XML. We want the data in the HTML format, so let's keep it in HTML. If you want the XML, if you want to create a separate XML file based on these XML files, just keep it XML. Okay, so this is the pattern. This is called as this is a template, but in XSLT terminology we call it as a template. This is a template, also called as a rule. This is a one rule, and when the XSLT processor will work, basically that will take this XSLT, take this rule, match with this XML. So as of now we have just created root, so there is a default, I'm just starting from here. So I said root employees, so the processor will start from this root and employees. Correct. So this is the one rule which we have created in the XSLT. Let's remove this one, and first thing that we want here is we want this value, right? So company name, so what is that? What is the syntax? So this is the XSL, and the value, to taking out the value from the XML, we have a syntax like value of, and let's put the element name, like we have a company name, right? So just let me show you let me show you first what is the output of this XSLT. So will it work? No, sorry. Okay. So the XYZ corporation is coming, and the XYZ corporation, because we have just mentioned we need only company name here. Let's make some formatting here. We want this one is as a H1, just for formatting. It's up to you to just define it in your HTML way, in the way that you want it. So this is the XYZ corporation we want it. If you want to check the source code, let's see the source code. This is the source code. Just because of we have just given the output type is HTML, let's keep it XML and see the result here. So if see, so let me just keep it HTML only. HTML. Okay. Now my next agenda here is to just retrieving all the employees name, right? This is the basic requirement to iterate the elements, basically the child nodes somewhere else. So we want like iteration, right? So we have something like for each and select. What we want here is select employee. So we want to select employee. This is the root, and we want employees, or just make it like employee. So if there is multiple elements is there, this will work like an enumerator. So it will just whatever the template that you are going to define inside this for each, that is going to be repeated. So for each, and let's extract the value of select. What value we want here is like we want the first name here, first name. So this is the current item. So if you are putting a dot, it means it's the first loop, right? The if it is first iteration, then it will represent this one. The second iteration, it will represent this one. So the dot in this item, and we want the first name. So this is the first name, and let's display it. Yeah, so it's coming the first name, but it's all in the only in the same line. So let's break it. Sorry. So now in the, okay, what is happening? Okay, because of the we have just okay, we are okay, so it's show you. Yeah, so all the names are coming in the different lines. Okay, fine. Now we want to just put it the second name, the last name, the last name, the last name. But the first name and last name is coming, but the thing is we want to want a space between the first name and last name. So if in the normal HTML we have like NVSP, right? But here NVSP will not work. Let's see. Let me show you the why. So it will not work, right? So it's not working, and that's why it's giving all the so this transformation gets failed, and you are getting all the results, all the content from the XML files here. So suppose if you want to put it any special, because this is a XML standard, and you have to just escape these special characters. So for this time I'm just we have one more tag like XSL text. So if you want to put it any if you want to render the or any kind of description or text on the front end side on the page, just put it inside this tag. And here we have a one attribute like disable output escaping. So just make it true and put the value here, whatever the value that you are trying to pass it on. So just put all these values here. This is the safest way which we through that we can just transfer any character on the web page. So I've just put it like NVSP under the C data and just disabling disabling the output escaping. So now the one space is coming between the first name and last name. Now the next requirement here is we want some ID to the ID which is associated with the employee, each employee, but that ID is a part of attribute, that is the attribute. So how will it retrieve the attribute? So this is the basically XPath syntax. So you can just put a part of this. You can just, if you want to retrieve any value and you are very familiar with the XPath, just use the XPath and retrieve any value from the XML. For this time I'm just retrieving the ID. So the current item, which is basically the current employee, just retrieve the attribute of that employee, the ID. So the current employee and attribute would be the ID. So this is the ID, and I want something like 3 dots for sampling for demo purpose. Let's see. So we have like employee ID, employee name, and the last name. Now the next requirement here is we have some address here. We have address with each employee, but under the one more address is a root node here, and under the address we have a country and city. If you want to compare with this address with this employee, that will look like the same, right? So how will retrieve the child nodes, like something like that, something like this. So let's see, I want address like a header, just put it like header 4. Okay, and just put it like this one, and let's iterate it. XML XSL for each select we want address. So if there is any elements inside this address, it will all get iterated here. So address, so because of we have only one address, that's why it will just iterate only one times. So but it will give you all the elements that we have under the address. So XSL, and what we want here is all the elements from the address in our tag. So we have just XSL value of which tag, select like country, we want country name here, like, so the next thing we want here is like city, so just put it like city. Let's see the impact. Great. So now the employee ID, the employee name, address, which is basically child, which is also coming like country. Okay, so we have to just break it down here. Okay, so just put it like this way. Okay, so make it comma and one more space here, like employee name, the employee ID. So this is how we are iterating the XSLT XML data with this XSLT, and I tried to cover the basic things, but there is a lots of things that we can do with the XSLT. Now move it to the server side. So so for the server side, I'm just going to retrieve the I'm just going to use the same XSLT and the same XML file. The only thing that I'm going to do here is because the server transformation, we do not need this one, right? So let's move ahead. Now this is the code which I have written for the server side XSLT. In this, there are two things that I want to point out here is like the setting. The setting is we are just setting explicitly to not create a XML. There is a two parallel things. One thing is the XML writer is itself writing the valid XML files. Another is the validator, which is basically assigned. So we have just explicitly disable, not I'll say disable, but it's something like we are just giving a processor to not to revalidate it. It is something like that. So we are just conformity level, just I'm setting is auto, and I'm just passing that same setting here in XML writer, and like there is a class XML compile transform class which allow us to just transform the XML data with the help of XSLT. So we have, let's see the method. What are the methods that we have? Like the only method is like load, which I am using, and the transform. Okay, so in the load section, I'm just loading the XSLT file, the style sheet, and the transform section we are just passing the XML file which we have here. So this is the XML file. As you can notice here, I have just removed the the style sheet tagging which we had for the client. Like in the client XML, as you can see, like we have this association, but in the server side I just removed that one. I have just kept it the simple data, and the template is the same like we had we had for the client. Sorry. So I'm just loading it here, and after once the transformation completes, I'm just getting those result into the literal control and pushing it on the server on the web page. So let's see the result here. So this is the transformation that you get it from the. So we have seen that how we can transform XML and XSLT through the C# coding. Now if you don't want to write such coding and you want to transform XML data into if you want to transform XML data with the help of XSLT. So Microsoft has already given us one control which is which is itself a ASP XML control. So I'm just run at server, and the data source. The data source is in our case is in our case server side XSLT / my data.xml, and the transform. This is basically looking for the XSLT. So the path is same server side XSLT / sample.xslt. Just close it and just run it. So same thing without any coding. So again, so this is the thing that you can this is the same thing that you achieve through the ASP XML control. But if you want to make more control on the server side, and if there is any scope, just go with this coding. So I have just written the that's why I covered the coding part as well as this control part. Thank you and happy learning.